Hi, my name is Kara Manuel, and I want to share my story about the Indigenous Studies courses that was offered at Grand Prairie Regional College. And the reason why I want to share my story is because it was such an empowering experience, and I would just like to share it. So the beginning of the school year, at my first class, we had to do an introduction, and one of the questions was, why were you interested in taking that Indigenous Studies course? And my answer was, I wanted to find out who I really am. And that sounds kind of crazy, but before I walked into these courses, I struggled with my own identity, and I've lived a part of my life that was tough. And now that for the things that I've learned about, I realized that I did have a loss of identity, and I didn't really know who I really was. And I'm so grateful that I took it upon myself to go back to school and take these courses, because it was such an amazing experience to be able to go to school and learn about yourself, learn about your own people, learn about the relationship between Indigenous peoples and the federal government, and to learn about colonialism, decolonization. And so in the middle of, for one of my presentations, I did a presentation on my grandparents, on my great-grandparents, and it was such a cool project to do for me, because it made me realize where I come from, and made me realize what a strong bloodline I'd come from, and made me realize all these beautiful gifts and traits that my grandparents had, and that they probably passed down to me, and what hard workers they were, and how they were the self-determined people, and they provided for themselves. They didn't depend on the government or anything like that. They were self-determined, and I thought, wow, that's awesome. They migrated year-round. They harvest their own food. They were their own doctors. All these plants and herbs that are out on the land, that was the way of life of the Dene people. And it made me realize, made me look inside myself, and made me think about how colonized I've become. And it made me realize how, because my grandparents or my great-grandparents, they went to residential school, and the way they were treated, and for the fact that they were taken away from their families, and they didn't know how to parent, and on top of that they were abused. Those cycles of alcoholism, cycles of violence, that got passed down generation to generation. And just learning about that, it really made me look within myself, and made me realize what colonialism has done, and what decolonization is, and that I want to work towards decolonization. And so in my first semester, around midterms, who would have thought that I would be going through a grieving process for one whole week? I was grieving, I was crying every day, and I couldn't control it. I was just crying in the middle of class almost. And just out in the public, I just couldn't help it. I was just crying and crying, because at that moment I realized I realized how oppressed I was living my life up to that point. Just because I'm Indigenous, and just because of colonialism, just because of residential school, how oppressed I lived my life up to that point. And just by being aware of that and accepting it as it is and moving forward from the oppression, that was empowering. And to realize that my ancestors are with me and they're guiding me, and to understand that I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to regenerate my culture. I have a responsibility to decolonize. And I can achieve my goals, my plans, and my dreams by going to school. And it just made me really look within myself and made me realize that living a clean lifestyle is a way that I can live a good life and be on the right track and be open to the good things that life has to offer, like abundance, love, kindness, acceptance, forgiveness, and that's a part of our culture too. And I had a really cool experience today because I'm in a workshop that's on land-based teachings, and a lot of it has to do with spirituality. And I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to be there, because growing up and coming from Fort Good Hope, our whole town, my whole family, everybody is into Christianity, everybody, and even myself, like I was born into it. And so this school year in my classes, like I realized that Christianity was a part of the assimilation, to assimilate our people into different beliefs and values, different ideologies. And Christianity also takes us away from our own culture, from who we truly are as Dene, as Indigenous people. And that was really hard to take in, because everything that I believed up to this point was all a lie. And you know, it's really hard to step away from Christianity, because you know, you read it in the Bible and stuff like that says, like, if you don't believe in so and so, you're gonna go to hell or whatever. But then that's not true, because there's other spiritual beliefs that, you know, it has nothing to do with fear. And so I made the choice to step away from Christianity, because it just felt like I wasn't staying true to myself. And in my own heart, I knew that I had to learn more about spirituality, and it's been a good journey so far. Yet it just feels like it's only the beginning of something beautiful. And one of my friends told me, just keep on praying, and that's all that matters. And we're all praying to the same God. And what I realize is that Indigenous spirituality has a lot to do with land and Mother Earth. And I've learned so much. I'm just I have so much to share in such little time. But I've learned this past school year that I'm so gifted and so beautiful. I don't say that in a proud way or anything. I say that in the most humblest way, is that I have a lot to offer, and I have a lot to give. And going to school has helped me to do that. It has helped me to build on my self-esteem and helped me to do public speaking in a way. And it has helped me to share the things that I've learned. There was more that I wanted to talk about. Well, one important thing that I've learned is about decolonization and regenerating our culture, revitalizing our identity as the Dene people. And that's so important because the whole idea of residential school is to assimilate us into European worldviews and mimic the hierarchy system that they have going on. And if you really learn about the Indigenous governance, it's about consensus decision making, and it's has nothing to do with one ruling over the other. It has to do with everyone is a leader, and everyone has a role and responsibility, and everybody has special gifts that they can offer to the community. These are just some of the things that I wanted to share about my experience, and it just almost feels like it's just the beginning of something amazing. And it made me realize that I want to become a teacher one day, and I want to teach students about Native studies. And I realized that I'm a natural born leader, but I'm a leader in the things I'm passionate about. And I hope you guys like this video. I hope it makes sense. I have so much to share. It's just better doing it in person, I think. But that's my story about the Indigenous Studies courses that I took at Grand Prairie Regional College. Thank you.